Hey, cunts, don't forget to click the subscribe button.
Now, the rest is emotional bank account. You're going to rate yourself daily, 0 to 10. Monday, I'm a 6. Tuesday, I'm a 2. Wednesday, when your wife leaves you, you're a 0. Etc. But every day. And you're also going to rate yourself a risk, fear. In other words, what scared you? Remember I asked you what scared you, what were you afraid of? The next, mind conditioning. How much out of it, from 0 to 10 on a daily basis, would you rate yourself in following up with QLA material? Then the next section is goals for next week. You prioritize them. The top goal first, the second most important goal, blah, blah. And then when you do the report to yourself the next week, did you accomplish those goals? And if you list goals more than 1 week, it's because you're not doing them. And if you follow the process, which I agree that Tom uses, to crush something every day, this will be an easy part of the reporting system. Then challenges, problems, and questions. What's the biggest challenge you had during the week? I like to do it whereby this is my challenge. Let's just say my challenge was picking up the phone to make my first phone call. Okay? What are your 3 alternatives? Quit the program. Okay? 2, do jumping jacks and get all excited and then pick up the phone. Or 3, just fucking pick up the fucking phone and just pull the trigger. Okay? And once you start rating yourself as to what you're really saying in your mind, subconsciously, why you're not doing it. Now, you've heard the young kid, Ray, say that after the first 100 to 150 phone calls, he was numb, nervous, sweating, and then by the time he got to 250 or 300 calls, it was easy. And that's more or less what the sales process is. Then give yourself a self-assessment, 0 to 100. And then what would Dan rate me? Well, I can tell you right now, all of you, I probably rated 0 or close to 0. And this is for you, even though it says, what am I not telling Dan? What is the real truth in your own mind why you didn't do better in all the reporting above you? What am I not telling Dan? Which was really, what am I not telling myself? And normally it's fear of failure. That's number 1. Number 2 is the piss poor time management. And number 3 is you are who you hang around with. In other words, which is part of time management. If you're going to the pub and you're belching and farting now, you'll be belching and farting at the pub 20 years from now. And as the example that Peter said on his webinar, he said, this was me Friday night at the pub with my mates. Okay, now I'm not. I know many of you, myself included, have gone to a bar and had drinks with some buddies on a Friday or whatever the day is. We used to delude ourselves to relax because we had worked so hard during the week. Okay, but there's other forms you can do. 500 push-ups and relax. You can run 10 miles and relax. You can lift weights. So why do you go? Now, I know guys go to pubs and bars to look for girls, okay? Why do you go with your buddies to, for 2 or 3 hours on a Friday night? It's a good question. I never asked myself that, but there's no way, shape, manner, or form that you can relate any of those actions to achieving your goals. And when you start tracking these things, you'll see that 1, why you are where you are now, and 2, why the guys that are super successful. And so far, all the icons that we've studied here are pretty much assholes. Not 100% assholes, but pretty much assholes. 100% of them are more or less ruthless. Not savage necessarily, but ruthless. You heard Peter today say, I had to get more ruthless. Now, there's nothing about him that's ruthless in my judgment. I mean, 0. But compared to where he came from, I mean, he thinks that he's fucking Genghis Khan now, which we all know he's not. But you're all coming from a different starting point. And those of you that have been reasonably successful in business have a different perspective of now, after we've gone through this, of why you've been successful. And I'm sure almost everybody in the room, if not everybody in the room, knows that you could have been a lot more successful. There's no question about that. Okay? But now you have different metrics. You have different benchmarks. You have people that turn 20 grand into 70 million in 7-8 months. You've got guys that have created 40, 50, 60, 70 million for themselves in 2 or 3 years. And that's, when you measure yourself against the best, and they're not the very best, but they're in the 1% category for sure, you come up with different results. Those of you, heard Jason Nagy. And for those of you that are from Australia, I mean, you can relate more. Unless you've been where he's from, you can't really relate to it. But I mean, it's just the bottom end, the rectum of the world. Doesn't mean there's not nice people there. You've heard Simon Bell, an Australian that left Australia to go to the Middle East, and he only unfortunately got a fraction. Didn't change the world, didn't help anybody else other than himself. But if nobody's going to be helped except one person, better you. Selfish, better you. Instead of nobody, well, fine. I'm the only one that made any money. Okay, well, this is not the worst thing that ever happened. It gave him the ability to fight another day. So you now know you have benchmarks. And you have a privy to the library, the QLA library, which has got 150 of these stories. Okay, I showed you the ones, and we made some last-minute changes with EJ. There's 2 or 3 I didn't show because I thought you were beyond that example. And then, but the 4 or 5 that were at the end, where I was sure that you could relate. More readily. Some of you can relate to Peter, some of you can relate to Jason, but you can relate to somebody. You may not be able to relate to the Viking bitch and a couple others. But for every persuasion in this room, I mean, we showed at least 1 or 2 and possibly 3 examples of pretty successful people. And of course, our last success story, probably not too many of you can relate to. But you hopefully not have a kid, a nephew, or something that looks like that.
He's face to face with the board and everything.
Huh?
He's face to face with the board and all that.
Yeah. But I mean, his guys are all famous tattoo guys, or they call them tats, right? Is it a tattoo, a tat? Yeah. If this guy can do a fucking roll up, God almighty. I mean, give me a fucking break. I mean, when I say anybody can do a roll-up, I mean anybody can do a roll-up. But he's tight with Jesus now. He's tight with Jesus, and we wish him all the best.
Jesus must be proud.
Yeah. Well, if Jesus is proud, I don't want to get down that road. I don't want to go down that road. But I'm glad he did a deal, but I'll leave it at that. We can send him to Roma, and then, he can be a pilgrim to Roma, and he can say a bunch of prayers for all of us. Who's my 530? Okay, speaking of Jesus. And are you sure you didn't put your finger in a plug? Is that just natural? Okay. Who's my 6? Okay. The other half of the Chinese love duo. Tonight, the alcohol tasting is at what time? Have you looked at the schedules? Yeah, you have. Well, we have for those. There's a how to put on your kilt class in conjunction with malt whiskey tasting.
6:30 is whiskey tasting. 6 p.m. Kilt.
Kilt. Okay. 6 is kilt if you need help, And most of the guys put their kilts on backwards, which, but they help you with all the other garb that you're going to wear. And then there's malt whiskey tasting, where we have a professional come in and show you the difference. But the real connoisseurs know once you've had, and then I don't wash my mouth out with water and that shit. You can do that, but I mean, I just gulp it down. But once you've had a couple of drinks, I mean, your taste buds are, it doesn't really matter. That's why when you put ice in a drink or water in the drink, I mean, it doesn't matter past the first drink. Any questions about Simon Bell? Oh, then you saw Simon Bell. And the bottom line for that is be very careful if you're going to be hunting dinosaurs. And make sure that the dinosaur hunting is all in one country. So you don't have to deal with cross-border laws, etc. Yes, sir.
Could he have done anything to save the deal, or could he have done anything or no?
No. When the big bank at the top, the money, the $1.85 billion disappeared, that was it. That was it. 1.85. It's hard to believe that you can lose 1.85 billion. But Americans sent over, $2 billion in cash. Remember, to Iran at the end of the Obama administration, and that got lost too. That was $2 billion in cash, got lost. Not $1 ever made it to where it was supposed to. So it's not unheard of this shit happened. In this case, it happened to one of my kids. I don't give a shit that the Iranians stole the money. That's not my problem. But no, he couldn't have saved it. But in hindsight, like he said, he would have never started it. That's easy to say in hindsight. But he's a smart kid. Now, this kid wouldn't have done that deal. He's got to stick to his environment of tattoos and shit like this, and the happy ending. Now, to see, the Australian likes the happy ending. He's heard it. There may be a happy ending in Sydney or someplace,
There's lots of them around.
Yeah, there's a question. Yes, sir.
Weekly report. Where'd you send it to?
No, you're not sending. That's for you. That's for your report. You're reporting to yourself. Any other questions about anything? Yeah, there is, I'm sure you've already talked to Kim, there is the hardcore, the 1st to 8th of July. That'll be just before my birthday, and so I'm sure Sally's got something special planned. I saw her ordering some shit, and when I walk into her office, and all of a sudden she closes it down and says, I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "Oh, I'm just working on your party, or I'm working on this." And I don't think any other white man will have paid more for a Rolls-Royce Phantom extended wheelbase than this white man by the time. And I don't want to see the bill. I don't care. I believe I don't know how much my 70th birthday cost, and I don't know how much my 40th birthday cost. I don't know if it's my 50th birthday, and there's certain that I just don't want to know because I don't want to be influenced. Oh, that's too much money. And so the car, which is, we have all kinds of special shit on it, I don't want to know. And so but I'm sure Rolls-Royce will write about it, that no white fucking moron ever paid more for a Rolls. I think this was going to cost more than the Queen's fucking Rolls. But I'm happy to be in a position, or allow Sally to be in a position, because it's fun. If you don't think money can buy happiness, you don't know where to shop. I mean, and for those of you that have a few bucks, there's no comparison, kids. Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.